The Brooklyn Nets have a new coach, and his name is Steve Nash. I'm going to be looking at that and previewing Friday's games in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today, before we get into talking about the games for Friday, there was some other news across the NBA, and that is that the Brooklyn Nets have hired themselves a new head coach, Steve Nash. Absolutely out of nowhere. Nashy has got the job, 4-year contract with the Nets. Nash has a relationship with Kevin Durant. He has a relationship with Kyrie Irving as well. We know he's a Hall of Fame point guard. He's been an unbelievable player. Totally cerebral point guard. But I worry a little bit about this hire, and I'll tell you why. Well, you probably know why. He's had no head coaching experience. He was never an NBA assistant coach. This one has come completely out of nowhere. He did have some consultant work with the Warriors and Steve Kerr, another player who became a head coach with no assistant coaching experience. But I don't think we look at this and say, well, Steve Nash is the model. Steve Kerr, is the model for Steve Nash, because that is really one of those ones that comes out of nowhere, I guess, and has that sort of success. There are plenty of other scenarios here where coaches who have come in without head coaching or assistant coaching or coaching experience who have been successful. The New York Knicks hired Derek Fisher straight after he was playing to become a head coach. Terrible decision at the time, terrible decision in hindsight. The Brooklyn Nets hired Jason Kidd. He is not a good head coach. In fact, he's a bad head coach, and we saw that in Milwaukee and in Brooklyn. Mark Jackson, not a good head coach. Vinny Del Negro, not a good head coach. Kevin McHale, maybe he's a good head coach. I'm not sure how you look at that. Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson. Doc Rivers is another one who did come in, and obviously he had some pretty high-level success, and he's still coaching. But him and Steve Kerr are the most successful ones out of these group of, and Larry Bird, I guess, with the Pacers, where he won a pretty high percentage of his games, made the playoffs every year in Indiana. But I wouldn't say that it's a guarantee that, and so many of these coaches who are hired without coaching experience are point guards: Nash, Fisher, Kerr, Kidd, Jackson, Del Negro, Thomas, Rivers, Johnson. So many of these guys are point guards. And we know that point guards are cerebral and they run the offense and they're like a coach on the floor, but that doesn't mean that they're actually a good coach. Kerr is a little bit different because he had front office experience. He was the GM in Phoenix, and GM and coach are different jobs. But they're not that different. I feel like the similarity between GM and coach is higher than the similarity between player and coach. Because as a GM, you are working in terms of seeing a bigger picture. You are working in a big group of man management. And that's a lot of what coaching is, relating to other people in your group. Now, the general manager has to relate to the coach and the coaching staff and your training staff and nutritional staff and owners, and he has to go around and relate with all those people. Coaches have to deal with his coaching staff and his players, but there's a big man-management portion of it. It's not just getting out there with a whiteboard and drawing up a play and running layup drills in practice. So there is that advantage that Kerr had there. So I am a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that the Nets are doing so much to appease Durant and Irving, which seemed like the scenario with signing DeAndre Jordan, with firing Kenny Atkinson, with hiring Steve Kerr. This could be a good decision. But I don't think we absolutely need to come here and say that it's a home run, because we just don't know. We don't know if it's going to work. We don't know how it's going to, where's that experience that Nash has had. Now, he's been around teams. Obviously, as a player, he's been on the TV, he's worked with Canada's national team as well, but he's not full-time in that grind. And I have some worries. Now, I guess the other similarity with Kerr is that he's going to come in with a team that's going to have high-level aspirations. Durant, Irving, LeVert, Dinwiddie, Jarrett Allen. There's high-profile players here that they push for a top 4, top 2 seed in the East they'd be looking for. They're looking for a long playoff run. They were looking to have themselves as being free agent destinations for cheaper minimum veteran buyout type players to play with these guys and to play with Nash. So there are some high expectations. That doesn't mean it's going to go well. I think there are, I'm completely on the fence and I don't know what to think because I love Steve Nash as a player. I think he's been excellent in the things he's done after the game, but you've got no experience being a coach. And being a high-level player does not mean that you're a good coach. Not being a high-level player also doesn't mean you're a good coach. Those things don't relate. Often it's a handicap either way. It's not a correlated thing. So it's going to be interesting. Again, absolutely out of the blue, Jacques Vaughn is going to be his lead assistant. We know that Vaughn had some success down in the Orlando bubble with half a team, but Vaughn has had some struggles in his time with the Magic as a head coach there, where he was really, really poor. So he's going to be the lead assistant, and I think the highest paid assistant coach in the NBA, Jacques Vaughn, will be. So I'm super interested to see how this Nash experiment goes, and does it go in the Kerr-Rivers mold, or does it go in the Fisher-Kidd mold? That remains to be seen. But a bold choice.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
And let's see, the Nets are putting their dick really out on the table here, and let's see how it all works out, because I am absolutely intrigued to find out how that goes down. Guys, erectile dysfunction is a real problem for men all across the world. It's not easy to talk about it. I was a pharmacist, so I deal with patients with erectile dysfunction all the time. And it's getting a lot easier to talk about it because we realize it's not a personal failing. It's a medical issue that has medical treatments. There's so many factors that go into it, and you're not to blame, your partner's not to blame. This is a medical condition, like having high blood pressure, like having high cholesterol, like any sort of medical condition. This is a medical condition, and with Roman, it is easy to talk about. You get a real healthcare professional who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, it's safe, and it's totally discreet. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. Getting started is simple. Go to getroman.com/lockedonnba and complete an online visit. It used to be tough to tackle erectile dysfunction, but now there's Roman. So go to getroman.com/lockedonnba today. And if approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of erectile dysfunction treatment. That's getroman.com/lockedonnba. getroman.com/lockedonnba. All right, let's get into these games now across the league. The first one of these is the Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat. The Bucks are down 0-2 after a wild ending to Game 2 where there was questionable fouls and Jimmy Butler hit the game-winning free throws with zeros on the clock. The Bucks are again favored by 5. The total is 223.5. I think the Bucks, they're going to win a game this series. I think there's still a chance to win this series, but I'd say they're not the favorite to win this series from here on out. Injury-wise, Andre Iguodala sprained his ankle in Game 2, while Kelly Olynyk is dealing with a knee problem. They're both listed as questionable. Eric Bledsoe, who missed Game 1 with a hamstring injury, he returned, played 31 minutes, so you'd think his minutes are going to be ramped up. And I criticize guys like Tom Thibodeau all the time, right? You know that I don't think he's a good coach, and I think that he is completely, negligent in how he handles his players and his minutes, playing them way too much in meaningless games and causing injury concerns and just being a general dick and a bad coach. Mike Budenholzer should get criticized for the same thing, but in the 100% opposite direction. There's no excuse for Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton playing 36 and 33 minutes in a must-win Game 2 scenario. These guys need to be playing 40 minutes a night. Eric Bledsoe needs 37 minutes a night. Brook Lopez needs 37. Why are we getting Pat Connaughton out there? Why are we getting minutes of Kyle Korver, who I think struggled? This Bucks offense looked rough as well. There's just too much of this bullshit of playing these guys too few minutes. Now, I criticize Thibodeau for playing 42 minutes of a bloke in a January game that they're up by 20 or down by 20. That's nonsense. You're in the playoffs. The reason why you limit the minutes of these guys all through the regular season is injury prevention. It's load management.
Giggity.
It's all of that sort of thing for this exact moment because you haven't worn them out during the season. So now you can say, Giannis, literally play every minute of the second half. Middleton, do everything. Bledsoe, go out there and don't let us see Dante DiVincenzo minutes. Play 38 minutes. Budenholzer is a consistent thing with him. I don't know why he will not learn. He is hearing this criticism everywhere. Surely someone in this organization is telling him, dude, you've got the MVP. Play him 40 minutes. Chris Middleton, he's actually really good and might be an All-NBA player. How about we don't give him 32 minutes a night? Let these guys play instead of Pat Connaughton out there coming out and bricking shots left, right, and center. Budenholzer needs to ramp these guys' minutes up. Otherwise, I know they've been the number one team in the NBA the last 2 years. But this is bullshit. This is almost, it's not a fireable offense because I don't know you're getting anyone better, but he needs to do something different and he needs to adapt. And this has been a problem with Atlanta. It's a problem with Milwaukee. And I just do not understand why he won't do it. Anyway, on FanDuel, Eric Bledsoe's at 5,600. He played 31 minutes. He had 24 points. That's not great, but I think that he can get to 30 in this one, and I think he is a pretty strong play. Because I think those minutes will go up. While the Iron Shoulder, his salary's gone up. 7,200 for Goran Dragic, 39 points. He looks really unstoppable at this point. And Dragic putting up some good performances. I think that's okay at that price. Georgie Hill's at 45, no interest in that. While Kendrick Nunn, I'm not convinced that he's going to play in this game. Somehow Kendrick Nunn got Rookie of the Year. We'll talk about that because Ja Morant wins the Rookie of the Year, which is expected, but the voting to have Kendrick Nunn as second in Rookie of the Year over Zion Williamson is absolute nonsense to me. You know what I think of Nunn as a player. I think he's 100% overrated, but absolutely ridiculous to have Nunn as second place over Zion Williamson. Brandon Clark coming fourth. Kobe White at fifth. Pascal sixth. Terrence Davis seventh, and RJ Barrett at eighth. But Ja wins it with a almost unanimous vote. But that Nunn one, absolutely ridiculous as a complete aside. I don't think he played some minutes, but then Derek Jones came in and had a real moment there. Jones did it at the end where Iguodala was injured and had some really strong moments defending Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I can see Jones getting those Nunn minutes here. At shooting guard, Chrissy Middleton's at 7,500. I love this. I think it's a massively strong play, even in limited minutes. He had 40 last game. Love him here. While Jim Butler at 8,700.
Because he's my butler.
What a weird game from Butler last time out. Only 33 points, only took 8 shots, hit those game-winning free throws. The salary's come down a little bit. It's so hard to know what the hell you're getting out of Butler. You're getting 50, are you getting 30? 8.7 is an okay price, but I would 100% rather Middleton at 7,500. Butler could go off here, but he was really, really passive for some reason. Tyler Hero's at 54. Love that for cash. I'm not sure the upside's overall there for Hero, but I love his cash value. Iguodala, Dunk Robinson, Wes Matthews, Paddy Connaughton, Kyle Korver, no thanks for any of them. Giannis is at 10,600. Good price for Yanni. That's 900 down. I'm smashing that. He should get 60 here. Now, he only had 51 in game 2, but at 10.6, I love this for Giannis. Jay Crowder had a pretty strong game as well. 32 in 36 minutes. He's looking a little bit better these last couple of games. I don't mind that at 5,000. I think there is some GPP value for Crowder, while Derek Jones only played the 7 minutes. So I think he gets a little bit more in this one, not to say that he's a guy that we're going to use. At power forward is Bam Bam Adebayo.
Bam, 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 bam.
He's at 8,000. He continues to have some struggles against Milwaukee, despite them being a team that does give up a lot of points to opposing centers. 31 points last game. He's averaging 32 across his last 3 against this team. He fouled out. I'm not massively into him here, but I think he is a good GPP upside player, while Marvin Williams is not on the radar. At center, Brook Lopez at 5,700, massively strong for cash. He should be a 30-point guy. I'm not sure there's much upside in it, but massively strong for cash. While Olynyk, if he is out, I imagine Myers Leonard comes in and takes some of those minutes. And I don't think we really want to touch either of those guys. On DraftKings, Bledsoe at 57 looks good. Yanni still at 11.5, so the value drops a little bit there, but it's not bad. While Bam at 8,000, similar story as he was on FanDuel. Tyler Hero and Dragic, love Dragic at 7,000. Middleton's up to 8,200, so that takes some of his value away. I don't hate it, but it's not as good as where it was. And the 56 for Brook Lopez still looks like a pretty strong option over on the old DraftKings. If you want to talk about a strong option, if you're looking for the best tasting protein bar, why would you go anywhere else apart from BuiltBar.com? Built Bar is back and they have 6 new amazing flavors to go with their already amazing 12 flavor selection. Caramel brownie, cherry barcia, lemon almond cheesecake, apple almond crisp, carrot cake, cookies and cream. What a great selection to go with all the favorites you had before: raspberry, peanut butter, banana bread, etc. These bars are covered in 100% chocolate. They're soft and easy to chew, and they taste just like a candy bar. They're great if you're looking to maintain or lose some weight and still have a delicious snack that tastes just like a candy bar. Low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and high fiber. The peanut butter bar has 19 grams of protein and only 180 calories and 5 grams of sugar. If you go to BuiltBar.com and you use the promo code LOCKEDON, you'll also get $10 off your next order. So go to BuiltBar.com, use that promo code LOCKEDON, and save yourself $10 off at BuiltBar.com. All right, let's go on to the second game of the day, and it is the first game in this series, the Rockets and the Lakers. The Rockets getting that win over the Oklahoma City Thunder in Game 7 after a block by James Harden on Luguentz Dort, who dropped 30 points in absolutely the most surprising performance you will see all playoffs. I think the Rockets have got a massive chance of knocking over the Lakers here. I think the Lakers... Do I go completely balls out? I think I do. I think the Rockets knock them off in 7 here. That's ballsy after how they played against the Thunder, but I think the Lakers would have swept the Thunder. I think the Rockets can beat the Lakers in 7 here. We'll see. At point guard, Russell Westbrook, he's been trashed. Like, he's 8,500. He had 32 points last game, but his last 3 games against the Lakers, 65-point average. That's huge. I would have zero trust in him in cash, but I think the minutes go up again. He played 34 in Game 7. The quad still isn't right. He's bricking shots. He's turning it over. He looks horrible out there, but I do think that he's got some GPP upside. Also, speaking of horrible, Rajon Rondo looks like he could be returning. He's listed as probable. He's at 3,800. I wouldn't want to use him. How much they use him. If they use him too much, that absolutely works into my favor in terms of a Rockets in 7 pick. Austin Rivers, no thank you. Shooting guard Jimmy Harden's at 11,000. Really not cracking at the moment. I would rather spend that money on Yanni. He only averages 51 against the Lakers anyway. He's always worth a GPP look, but I'm not feeling him at the moment. Dan Green, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, no thank you. At small forward, LeBron James. He's at 10,800. Absolutely love this one. Out of the 3 guys over 10,000 in this game, I really like James as the one that I'm into the most. He's the cheapest of that trio as well, but I like James quite a bit. Well, Eric Gordon's at 56. Love the cash value in Gordo. He's playing some pretty good defense. The shooting isn't 100% there all the time, but he's looking better, and the minutes are super impressive. While Markieff Morris is a small forward who has literally never played small forward in his entire life. Or Dan House at 4,600. Not keen on him. Had power forward Bob Covington, 6,800, 54 last game. He's averaging 48 over the last 3. He is a wildly inconsistent player. So he is a guy that I'd look at as a strong tournament guy, but that's a $500 price rise for Covington, and I don't feel as confident in him against the Lakers as I did with the Thunder. Tone Davis at 11,200. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'd probably rather have him than James Harden at this point. But the last 3 games for Davis against the Rockets averaging 54. Now, that is in only 30 minutes, and he should get 38 or 39 here. So he is a 55 to 60-point guy, but there is still some concerns there, while the future MVP, Kyle Kuzma's at 49. I reckon this series might suit Kuzma. They only played him like 23 minutes a game. They should get JaVale McGee's ass all the way out of the rotation. I don't know that they will, and just go with a lot more Kuzma. So I think he's a sneaky GPP guy. Don't look at what he's done the last couple. 19 points in the last 3. Look at what he's done the last 3 against the Rockets. 30 points in 29 minutes. And I think that could be more realistic. At center, Dwight Howard's at 4,100. That's a strong no. PJ Tucker, 31 points last game. He had a big game before that. He's still at 5,100. I don't really trust that all that much, but the last couple of games have been strong. JaVale McGee, the biggest absolute no that I could possibly muster. That'll do me for today. Don't forget, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and of course, go and subscribe over on Apple Podcasts and give it a 5-star rating and review, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.